Ladies and gentlemen, we meet during dark days for our republic. We are actually living out the truth of Benjamin Franklin's admonition of 1787 when walking home after the draft federal constitution had been adopted by the Constitutional Convention. When asked, "Well, Dr. Franklin, what kind of a government have you given us?" Franklin replied, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." How do you keep a republic? For Franklin and others of his generation at the convention, including, by the way, Gouverneur Morris, my ancestor on my mother's side, you keep a republic by holding to virtue as your North Star. The Caux Roundtable proposes a universal humanism. Its origin were in moral rearmament of the 1930s, to rearm with values, to impose the umbilical twins of communism and National Socialism. The founder of moral rearmament, which I learned at Caux, Switzerland, came up with this, and some of you may remember it, which is, remember, when you point your finger at somebody else, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. So what is your virtue? What is your responsibility? The concept of virtue, I have notes, but I don't want to take your time, can be found in the Analects of Confucius, in Mencius, in Aristotle, in the Stoics, in Islam, the concept of the mizan, keeping the balance, in Buddhism, the paramitas, in Judaism, I may read this one, Ezekiel 34. "Thus say the Lord God, shepherds of Israel, who have been feeding yourselves, should not shepherds feed the flock?" As you know, the Caux Roundtable has come up with ethical principles for business, for government, for civil society organizations, for the owners of property, for journalists, and for teachers. And we have recently decided to recognize individuals for their work in bringing to life one or more of these principles. Past recipients include Douglas Baker Jr., CEO of Ecolab, Andrew Cesari, CEO of US Bank, Don and Sandra Samuels of North Minneapolis, Police Chiefs Todd Axtell and Maderia Arredondo, Mary and Chris Kowalski of Kowalski's Markets, and Kyle Smith of Real Precision. I would like our chair, Mr. Brad Anderson, to come forward and present the award.
I think we missed the most important issues when we got together, which is what I think the community's been living through right now, which was 2 things mattered more than a good plan: the truth and the courage to tell it. So after the summer of love, I still knew a lot of people who were in leadership positions in the Twin Cities. And I watched what happened. And I would have private conversations with people, and they would all describe the same problems. But then you would ask them, what are you going to do about it? And they would work backstream behind people. I'd talk to somebody, we'll try to get... Nobody had the courage to get up and tell the truth. And I've been reading biographies since I was a kid of what are the stories when people really matter with their lives. They have 2 assets. They really believe what they're doing, and they're committed to something that matters. And somebody in this community that I grew up in decided to tell the truth. And we're giving this award to Liz Collin because she did it. Steve has something very personal called a haiku award that you'd like to get.
Standing ovation. Well, Liz, Well, we've done something else with the Caux Roundtable. So for our awardees, I write a little haiku. So we have a haiku for you. May I read it?
Please do.
Thank you. Dark night, no stars, fallen leaves underfoot, naked trees which we don't see, waiting for dawn.
Thank you.
I was hoping not to get emotional. My fake eyelashes fall off when I cry, so I'm trying to hold on. Thank you so much for this honor. It's truly incredible. I want to thank the board for the nomination, for all of you being here. I'm blown away by how many people turned out today. I'm going to be honest. I asked Steve Young when he told me of this award if this was really a good PR move for this group. I'm well aware of how the world works, but I was amazed. They all were very insistent. No, we want to give this to you. So thank you so much. It truly does mean so much. If you haven't read my book, that is okay. I hope we're still friends. We still can be. But I tell the story in my book of when I was 10 years old and I started a newspaper with my friends back then in Worthington, Minnesota. And this newspaper became quite popular. The real media took note. A guy by the name of Don Shelby called me for an interview back then, and he asked me during that radio interview what I wanted to do when I got older, and it's when I told him that I wanted his job. So I anchored my very first newscast at WCCO alongside Don Shelby back in 2008, after working my way up through different markets and landing what I considered to be the dream job back at the station I grew up watching, rising to the highest rated weekend anchor in the Twin Cities for years, awarded with numerous Emmy Awards, all the things that I thought really mattered in this business that I believed in. But then in a matter of days, I was permanently demoted, silenced, and canceled. But the truth is, my passion for the truth never went away. And I had a front row seat to all of it. I knew there was so much more to what happened on May 25th, 2020 that we were not being told. Lies that were being peddled in the public, narratives, very dangerous and divisive narratives pushed on all of us that we are all still paying for to this day. So in a sense, I started over. After 20 years in corporate media, I left the nightly news for this thing called the internet. And I'm grateful to the fearless team at Alpha News for being willing to tackle I do work with truly tremendous people, but we tackle subjects that you won't really see on the news, and they were willing to accept me and all of my baggage, and by that baggage, of course, I mean my husband, Bob. But I never really felt like I left the profession, but in a way that the journalism profession left me, in a sense. The local news, it seems so often, focused on putting criminals on pedestals instead of just telling the truth. At Alpha News and with our partnership over at Crime Watch Minneapolis on X, it's fair to say that we do things differently. We're okay with that. But hundreds of thousands of people are seeing our content each and every day. In fact, many more than some of the biggest newsrooms in town, which is incredible because we are a team of just a few people. So Alpha News allowed me to produce The Fall of Minneapolis with approximately zero experience in documentaries. One that some 8 months later has recorded nearly 10 million views now. And that people have watched all around the world. I do want to say thank you to anyone who's passed the link along perhaps, or has even been brave enough to post it on social media. We had a heck of a time with Facebook trying to take it down, but thank you for fighting through censorship. It's been a very organic situation, and really appreciate your support in getting the word out there. But through all of this, it's really been a reminder that the truth still matters and that God has got this. The saying, that integrity is choosing courage over comfort is something that I repeat often. I never wanted to look back on my life and think, I did a good job laying low, avoiding speaking up, just repeating the words right in front of me, perhaps for a paycheck and health insurance. I feel, especially in this state, there really is a battle against right and wrong and good versus evil, and the saying that the only good thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing at all is also one that I recite often. In a matter of 13 months, that evil has now taken the lives of 5 first responders in Minnesota, including Polk County Deputy Josh Owen, Burnsville police officers Paul Elmstrad and Matthew Ruge, along with Burnsville fire medic Adam Finseth. And lastly, Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell, who was just murdered on May 30th. 5 men whose lives mattered, husbands, fathers, brothers, sons, heroes, who signed up to serve and protect and did so honorably. I remain committed to telling the truth about their noble profession. And I ask you today not to keep quiet, to have courage. Choosing to do nothing is also a choice. There is power in truth. I hope you'll join me in doing what we all can to turn the tide on this dark chapter. Again, I want to thank you for the recognition, for your courage in even awarding this to me at all. Thank you.